is a quiet truth that has echoed across centuries, whispered in the stillness of sages and etched into the silence between heartbeats. What you are seeking is not beyond you, but within you, waiting to be allowed, not pursued. Life, in its infinite wisdom, does not respond to effort, but to energy, not to desperation, but to alignment. And so, if you desire love, you must become the frequency of love. If you desire peace, you must vibrate peace. For the universe does not give us what we plead for, it mirrors what we are. To be the vibration of what you want is not a technique. It is a sacred remembering, a holy return, a dissolving of the illusion that you must earn, achieve, or strive to become worthy. It is the art of surrendering every mask the ego constructed and standing bare, as you were before the world taught you to be afraid. Imagine a river flowing effortlessly toward the ocean, never doubting its course, never hurrying, never pleading with the tide to receive it. It simply moves in the rhythm of what it is, water becoming water, source returning to source. This is your nature too. But the mind, conditioned by scarcity and separation, insists that you must do more to have more, that you must become someone else to deserve what is already encoded in your being. You are not here to chase anything. You are here to awaken to the divine pulse already living in your breath. The ancient texts have spoken of it. Lao Tzu called it the Tao effortless harmony, the flow that arises when we stop swimming against our own essence. Jesus spoke of the kingdom of heaven being within, not as a distant paradise, but a present reality accessed through stillness. And Rumi, with his soul drenched in love, reminded us that what we seek is seeking us, not because it is lost, but because we are asleep. And so I invite you to awaken not to a world outside, but to the still kingdom within. To awaken is to feel fully and without resistance the frequency you desire as if it were already here. To awaken is to breathe as though your prayer has already been answered. To speak not of lack, but of gratitude. To walk as though every step affirms it is done. The vibration of what you want is not found in words. It lives in silence. It lives in your posture, in your willingness to no longer be the echo of your past, but the resonance of your soul's intention. The moment you begin to embody the energy of what you long for, you collapse time. You bring the unseen into the seen, not because you manipulated matter, but because you remembered the divine law, like attracts like. Energy speaks more clearly than any voice. You are not a beggar at the gates of a reluctant universe. You are the universe expressing itself in human form. And the moment you stop asking life to prove your worth and begin radiating the truth that you are already enough, life bends to your vibration, doors open, paths appear, not by force but by frequency. This is not mysticism, it is alignment. Just as a tuning fork resonates with the pitch it matches, the world cannot help but echo back your dominant vibration. Fear invites more to fear. Love multiplies itself. Joy is a signal that calls more joy home. You are not here to fix the world. You are here to become such a clear channel of your truth that the world adjusts itself around you. And so I ask you gently, what are you vibrating? Are you vibrating worry while desiring peace? Are you emanating lack while pleading for abundance? Are you steeped in self-doubt while longing to be seen? There is no judgment here, only awareness. The universe does not punish, it reflects. The moment you shift from wanting to being, from craving to embodying, the reality around you begins to change. Not immediately, not always visibly, but undeniably. Let us go deeper. You are not the fleeting emotions that pass through you. You are the space they pass through. And in that spaciousness, you hold the power to choose. Not to force life into compliance, but to attune yourself to the frequency of the life you wish to live. You become, moment by moment, the vessel through which the unseen becomes manifest. Not because you are striving, but because you are allowing. To allow is not to passively accept whatever comes. It is to stop resisting what already lives within you. You are not asking for light, you are uncovering the lampshade. You are not manufacturing abundance, you are removing the blocks to its flow. The vibration of what you want is already alive in your being, waiting only for your belief to align with it. The mind will ask, but how do I do this? And here lies the trap. The vibration of what you want cannot be accessed through doing. It is felt in being. It begins with the breath, with the way you hold yourself in this very moment. Do you carry the posture of someone who is whole or someone who is still trying to become? Imagine if every breath you took affirmed, I already am. Not I will be, not I hope to be, but I am. Feel the shift. Notice how the body softens, how the heart opens, how the breath slows into peace. This is alignment not as a goal, but as a state of remembering. You were not born unworthy, that was taught. You were not born disconnected, that was believed. And beliefs, while powerful, are not truth. The truth is this: you are the vibration of source wrapped in skin. You are the frequency of love given form. You are not becoming divine, you are rediscovering that you always have been. And so, when you desire healing, become the vibration of wholeness. Treat yourself as if you were already healed. Speak with the voice of someone who trusts the process. Move through the day with the dignity of one who knows that the very cells of their body respond to love more than to fear. When you desire a relationship, become the vibration of deep, unconditional love, not needy love, not love that begs or proves or performs, but love that radiates, love that does not need another to complete it, but magnetically draws to itself that which matches its frequency. When you desire abundance, become the vibration of gratitude. Gratitude not as a tactic, but as a state of being. Speak blessings over what you already have. Give generously from the overflow. Trust that the source of all life does not withhold, it simply mirrors. This is not positive thinking. This is energetic alignment. You are tuning yourself like an instrument, adjusting the chords of your being to the frequency of the song you wish to sing. And when you are in tune, life begins to harmonize with you. There is no more need to chase, no more need to strive, no more need to hustle for what already belongs to you. You are no longer a beggar at the gate, you are the beloved in the palace. And the moment you realize this, truly realize this, not as an idea, but as an inner knowing, the vibration shifts. The vibration does not shift in noise, in striving, in outward exertion. It shifts in the still, holy sanctuary of remembrance. And that remembrance begins not in the grand declarations of the ego, but in the gentle surrender of the soul. When you no longer fight the moment, when you no longer argue with what is, when you are willing to be still enough to feel the sacredness in your breath, something ancient stirs, something eternal. The essence of who you have always been beneath the noise. And in that essence, you are already aligned with all that you seek. You are not summoning the life you desire from a distance, you are allowing it to rise from the depth of your own being. You are like a mountain that does not chase the sun, but is illuminated because it stands still in its beingness. You are like the lotus that does not strive to bloom, but unfolds when the time is right, because it trusted the soil and the silence. To be the vibration of what you want is to stop living in reaction to the world and start living in resonance with the truth. It is to no longer wake each day seeking approval, affirmation, or evidence that you are enough, but to embody the knowing that you are already complete. In this sacred shift, the external ceases to be your master. It becomes your mirror. When you are the vibration of peace, chaos loses its grip on your spirit. When you are the vibration of abundance, no scarcity can shake your soul. When you are the vibration of love, no absence, no rejection, no loss can diminish you, for you are no longer sourcing your worth from outside of you. You are remembering your source, and source does not lack. It does not doubt. It does not rush or strive or perform. It simply is, and so too must you return to that beingness. Return to the soft place within where all striving dissolves, where you stop asking the world to give you permission to feel what you were born to feel. That sacred place where you no longer postpone joy or withhold peace or delay love because you know these are not rewards to be earned, but frequencies to be lived. Let this be the season where you stop reciting prayers of desperation and start becoming the vibration of gratitude. Let your every breath say thank you, not for what has arrived, but for what already exists in unseen form. Gratitude, you see, is not a response, it is a cause. It is the vibration that draws more to itself. And the soul, in its infinite wisdom, already knows this. That is why when you drop into your heart, when you truly listen, not with the mind, but with your inner stillness, you find that there is nothing to chase, only something to become. And becoming is not effortful. It is a melting, a softening, a gentle release of all that you are not, so that all that you are may rise without resistance. The ego will always ask, but when will it come? The soul only asks, can I become it now? And the moment you answer yes, not as a strategy, but as a surrender, you find that what you were seeking was never lost. It was only waiting, waiting for you to align, waiting for you to remember, waiting for you to stop looking everywhere but within. You were never out of reach of the life you desire. You were only out of resonance. And now, you are remembering the song. There is a rhythm that underlies all things softer than the ticking of time, more ancient than the rise and fall of civilizations. It is not found in the noise, nor in the planning, nor in the endless pursuit of more. It is felt in the pause between breaths, in the stillness that exists before thought arises. It is in this sacred stillness that the vibration of what you want is already singing, not loudly, not with demand, but with the quiet certainty of truth. To become the vibration is to remember that life is not happening to you, it is happening through you. You are not a spectator watching reality unfold. You are the tuning fork that calls experience into harmony with your frequency. There is no circumstance, no person, no event more powerful than the signal you are transmitting through the field of your being. And yet most of us have been trained to forget this. We've been told that outcomes are earned through force, that success is the reward for stress, that love must be chased, and peace must be postponed until after the war of life has been won. But the truth eternal, unwavering, unconditional, is that the more you try to manipulate life from the outside, the more resistance you meet. Because life does not yield to force, it yields to alignment. Think of the wind. It cannot be caught in your hands. You cannot hold it, capture it, possess it. But when you align your sail, it carries you. When you move in harmony with it, you are lifted, guided, supported by an invisible power, far greater than effort. This is what it means to be the vibration of what you want. To stop grasping and start allowing. To stop reaching and start becoming. To stop asking, where is it? And start living as though it has already arrived. You see, the ego lives in the illusion of separation. It says, I am here, and what I want is over there. But the soul knows there is no over there. There is only here, there is only now. And what you want does not come from the future, it rises from the present, the moment you embody its essence. You do not attract love by demanding it, you attract it by vibrating as love. You do not manifest peace by banishing conflict, you do so by becoming the sanctuary within which no conflict can survive. You do not call in abundance by fearing lack, you welcome it, by vibrating trust, by becoming a field of receptivity, of openness, of knowing that the same intelligence that orchestrates stars has not forgotten your needs. So let us make this practical not as a step-by-step path, but as a living, breathing transformation. Begin each day not with a list of tasks, but with a question, what vibration am I choosing to live in today? Let that question pierce the surface. Let it go deeper than mental preference. Let it touch the root. Feel it in your body. Are you vibrating trust or tension? Are you grounded in presence or running in fear? Are you emitting a signal of lack or of fullness? And when you become aware of your frequency, not to judge, but to witness, something miraculous begins to happen. You realize that you are never a victim of your life. You are the artist of its unfolding. You are painting the canvas of your days, not with actions alone, but with energy. And the colors you use are not the ones you see, but the ones you feel. This is where power lives, not in controlling others, not in achieving titles, not in accumulating things, but in the quiet, radiant certainty of one who has returned to their source, one who no longer begs the world for permission to feel whole, one who has made their inner world such a sanctuary of truth that the outer world bows in response. You may still face storms. You may still encounter challenge, loss, delay, but you will face them not as a leaf in the wind, but as the mountain beneath it. Not because you are hardened, but because you are rooted. Rooted in vibration, rooted in remembrance, rooted in the truth that you do not need to find what you already are. The vibration of what you want is you. And when you know this, not in your head, but in your being, you become magnetic. Not to things, not to people, but to alignment. And from that alignment, all else flows. When you realize that you are already the vibration of what you seek, something subtle, yet seismic, begins to occur in your reality. The frantic pace of needing life to validate your worth softens into stillness. The old habits of measuring your value by external achievements lose their grip. The weight of comparison, the burden of expectation, the ache of proving all begin to dissolve like fog under morning light. Because the moment you return to your essence, you stop living from fear. Fear is the great disruptor of vibration. It is the static that distorts the signal, the trembling that blocks the flow. And yet, fear is not your enemy. It is a messenger, a guardian of thresholds. It shows you where you are still clinging to the illusion that you are not yet enough. But hear this now, not with your ears, but with your soul. You are not here to fight your fear. You are here to feel through it, to breathe into it, to see it for what it is, a doorway, not a wall. Every time you feel fear, instead of shrinking, step closer, step inward. Ask, what frequency within me is asking to be remembered, reawakened, re-embodied? This is the sacred work. Not chasing a better life, but becoming a deeper truth. And in that truth, you find that life was never against you. It was only ever trying to show you what you were vibrating. Not to punish, but to reflect. Not to test, but to guide. You are the cause. Your experience is the effect. But not in blame, never in blame. In power, in presence. In the holy return to what has always been your birthright. To be the living embodiment of the life you desire. And that life, let us speak of it now, not in fantasies, but in frequencies. The life you want is not in the car, or the career, or the applause. It is in the feeling those things represent. Freedom, joy, security, expansion, connection. What you want is not the thing, it is the vibration of the thing. And once you realize that, you are free. Because feelings do not require time, they require permission. They are not the result of achievement, they are the invitation to it. The more you feel now as you would feel then, the more you collapse the illusion of distance. The more you embody the energy of already, the more the outer world bends to match your inner world. This is the paradox of spiritual manifestation. The less you need it, the more it flows. The less you grasp, the more you receive. The less you demand, the more you magnetize. Because you are no longer vibrating from lack, you are vibrating from truth. And truth is the most attractive force in the universe. So now ask yourself, what would it feel like to already be free? Not someday, not if, but now. What would it feel like to be so deeply aligned with love that no absence could shake you? What would it feel like to be so fully rooted in peace that chaos could only pass through, not stay? What would it feel like to be so utterly sure of your connection to the divine that no circumstance, no delay, no rejection could make you doubt your path? Feel it now. Not later, not when, now. And as you feel it, let it shape the way you breathe. Let it shape the way you move, speak, listen, love. Let it color your thoughts, your choices, your very present. This is not pretending. It is remembering. You are not imagining a fantasy. You are aligning with reality, the reality that has always existed beneath the illusion of separation. You are not becoming something new. You are shedding what is false. You are not chasing what you desire. You are waking up to the truth that has always been trying to find you, if only you would become still enough to receive it. And in that stillness, in that alignment, the vibration of what you want becomes not a goal, but your nature. There is a moment subtle as the hush before dawn, when you no longer need to be convinced of your worth. Not because the world applauded you or outcomes aligned, but because something within you finally bowed to the knowing, I am. Not I am this or I am that, but simply I am. And in that naked beingness, something sacred unfolds. You begin to vibrate, not as a seeker of light, but as the light itself. Not as a soul on trial, but as the evidence of divinity already proven. The vibration of what you want does not speak in language, it speaks in frequency. And this frequency cannot be manufactured. It cannot be faked. It rises only from authenticity, from the courage to show up as you are, without performance, without pretense. It rises when you stop editing your essence to fit into someone else's narrative and begin living the unfiltered truth of your own. Truth does not tremble. It does not negotiate. It does not shout. It hums like the resonance of a bell long after it has been struck. That hum is what the universe listens to. That is what life responds to, not your plans, not your timelines, but your vibration. So ask yourself, not what you must do, but what you must allow. What parts of you have you silenced in exchange for approval? What truths have you buried beneath the rubble of should and someday? These are not faults, they are invitations. Invitations to vibrate from your wholeness, not your wounds. Invitations to step back into the flow that never left you, though you may have turned your gaze. You see, alignment is not about being perfect, it is about being true. It is not about pretending to feel good when you don't. It's about being so honest with your emotion that even your sadness becomes sacred. When you stop labeling your feelings as obstacles and start honoring them as energy, you stop vibrating as resistance and start vibrating as presence. And presence is where all power lives. To be present is not to escape the world, it is to finally meet it, to touch this moment without needing it to be different, to breathe into the heart of now without bracing for what's next. The ego may fear this, for it lives on the promise of the future. But the soul rejoices, for it remembers. Only in the now can anything real be created. Only in the now can the vibration of what you want be felt, lived, and embodied. There is no path to peace that bypasses the now. There is no way to manifest from the future. All creation begins from the vibration of the present moment. So when you ask for a new life, ask first, what am I transmitting now? And then, without judgment, begin to align. Not with effort, with devotion. Devotion to the breath. Devotion to truth. Devotion to feeling deeply, speaking honestly, walking humbly. You do not need to become louder to be heard by the universe. You need to become clearer. Because clarity is not a product of volume, it is the result of alignment. And when your inner world is coherent, the outer world must respond in kind. This is not mysticism, it is resonance. Just as a crystal glass shatters when met with the pitch that matches its structure, your old limitations cannot survive when you vibrate with the frequency of your soul. They dissolve, not in struggle, but in stillness, not in reaction, but in remembrance. You are not here to control life. You are here to co-create with it. And co-creation does not happen through force. It happens through frequency. So tune yourself gently, not by fixing, by feeling, not by rushing, by resting in the truth of who you already are. You cannot move forward holding on. Not because your path is blocked, but because your hands are full of stories, full of names, full of identities handed to you before you could speak your truth. You carry memories like stones in your pockets, wondering why your wings won't lift you. You cling to hurts, to echoes of voices that told you who you were and who you could never be. And in doing so, you delay your own becoming, not because you are unworthy, but because you are weighed down. The past is not your enemy, it is your teacher. But a teacher only walks beside you for a season. When the lesson is learned, you bow in gratitude and walk on. But so many of us drag the teacher with us, reliving the pain, rehearsing the betrayal, replaying the scene again and again like a film that no longer needs viewing. Not realizing that to rewatch suffering is to re-energize it. Not knowing that your sacred unfolding does not require permission from yesterday. And still the soul yearns not for escape, but for freedom. Not to erase the past, but to unchain from it. It longs to move, to breathe, to expand into the untouched present where healing lives. It longs for the unburdened silence where truth can speak without interference. And every time you hear that whisper, the one that says, let go now, you are hearing your soul calling you home. But to let go is not to forget. It is not to deny. It is not to erase what shaped you. It is to release your identity as the one who was hurt and to step into your truth as the one who healed. It is to look at the pain and say, you were the fire that forged me, but you are not the definition of me. You cannot carry the weight of what was and expect to walk lightly into what is. You cannot speak new words while your tongue clings to old grief. You cannot feel the fullness of now while clenching the echoes of then. Letting go is not weakness. It is the ultimate strength. The strength to surrender what no longer aligns. The strength to unclench your fists even when they have known only holding. The strength to say, this chapter shaped me, but it will not confine me. And yes, it may hurt to release. There may be tears. There may be shaking. But in that ache, there is also birth. The birth of a lighter self, a freer self, a self who no longer reacts from old wounds, but responds from present truth. You are not here to be a museum of your suffering. You are here to be a sanctuary of your soul's radiance. And your soul, untouched by history, does not carry shame. It does not carry failure. It carries only light. and light cannot be held by a clenched hand. So breathe. Breathe into the weight you've been holding. Feel it fully. And then, with reverence, begin to place it down, not in denial, but in love. Love for who you were, love for what it taught you, love for the one within you who never stopped hoping for freedom. This is the path forward, not paved by force, but by surrender. And as you let go, truly let go, you do not fall, you rise. You do not rise by adding more. You rise by releasing, by loosening your grip on the stories that have kept you tethered to a version of yourself that no longer reflects your becoming. You rise not with noise, but with silence. Not in shouting your worth to the world, but in embodying it so fully that the world recognizes itself in your presence. There is no need to announce your transformation. The tree does not declare its blooming, it simply becomes it. And those who pass by feel it. They are touched, softened, changed not by what is said, but by what is felt. This is the quiet power of alignment, the sacred resonance of someone who no longer waits for permission to be whole. You are not waiting for anything. Not the apology, not the perfect moment, not the right sign. You are not waiting for life to begin, or healing to arrive, or peace to be delivered from outside of you. Because what you've been waiting for has been waiting for you. It has been waiting for you to stop searching in the distance and start listening within. It has been waiting for you to be still enough, soft enough, brave enough to hear the truth that lives beneath the noise. The truth that says, you are not behind. You are not broken. You are not a mistake. You are the vibration of all that you desire. Clothed in human form, learning again to trust the sound of your own soul. And your soul has never once doubted your worth. Not when you failed. Not when you fell. Not when you forgot. Because forgetting is part of remembering. And remembering is not a moment, it is a movement. A steady return. A sacred unfolding. Not back to who you were, but forward into who you are when you shed all that you are not. So let this be your returning. Not to the past, but to your presence. Let this be your becoming. Not of someone new, but of someone real. Let this be the moment you stop shrinking for comfort and start expanding for truth. Let this be the breath where you say yes, not to the life you were told to live, but to the one you were born to embody. You don't need to be more spiritual. You don't need to be more healed. You don't need to be more ready. You need only to be more you. The you that no longer vibrates from need, but from knowing. The you that does not chase love, but breathes it. The you that does not fear the unknown, but dances with it like an old friend. Because when you become the vibration of what you want, not as a means to an end, but as a devotion to truth, the world opens. Not all at once, but in ways so intimate, so miraculous, that they cannot be explained, only experienced. So, let it happen. Let it flow. Let the divine intelligence that breathed galaxies into being breathed through you now. Let go of who you thought you had to be. Become who you already are. And know this not with your mind, but with every fiber of your being. You are the vibration of love. You are the vibration of peace. You are the vibration of wholeness. You are not here to get aligned. You are here to realize you've never been out of tune. Only distracted, only defended, only briefly asleep. But now you remember, and in that remembrance you rise. Not someday. Now, not with effort, with surrender. Not with striving, with stillness. And this stillness, this sacred, luminous presence, this is your power. This is your offering. This is your home. Let your life become the prayer. Let your breath become the temple. Let your being become the vibration. And then, beloved soul, watch how life begins to echo that song back to you in every moment, in every encounter, in every breath, whispering again and again. And so you are it. You've always been it. Be it. There is a way of speaking, not with your lips, but with your presence. A way of conversing with the universe that does not rely on words, but on alignment. It is not something you perform, it is something you allow. And when you learn to speak to life in this language of vibration, of truth, of soul miracles, no longer become rare occurrences, but your natural rhythm. Because the universe is always listening, not to your anxiety, not to your desperation, but to the frequency beneath your thoughts, the silent energy you carry into every breath, every step, every choice. It hears the resonance of your being more than the noise of your asking. And when your being says, I am whole, when your being says, I trust, when your being says, I allow, the universe responds in kind. This is not magic. It is law. It is the law of vibration, of resonance, of spiritual reflection. What you send out, not in your wishing, but in your being, is what returns to you. You are not separate from this cosmic rhythm. You are an instrument in its orchestra. The melody of your life is not composed by chance, but by the tuning of your inner world. Speak to the universe this way, not with pleading, but with presence. Not with fear, but with faith. Not with impatience, but with the sacred stillness of one who knows they are already home. You see, we have been taught to beg for blessings, to barter with God, to strive and strain in hopes that something greater might one day approve of us enough to let the good in. But this is not truth. The divine does not withhold. It does not measure worth. It does not respond to effort. It responds to energy. And your energy is never a product of what you do. It is a reflection of what you believe. When you believe you are lacking, your vibration says, I am not enough. And the universe mirrors that belief with experiences that affirm it. When you believe that you must struggle, your vibration declares nothing comes easily, and life becomes a series of locked doors. But when you believe deeply and truly that you are already connected, that you are already worthy, that you are already enough, something magnificent shifts. The world does not change because you forced it to. It changes because you've stopped resisting its goodness. You've stopped arguing with grace. You've stopped standing in the way of the very light you were born to radiate. And in that stopping, in that surrender, you begin to speak the true language of the universe. It is the language of being. It is the language of silence. It is the language of love. When your thoughts become aligned with truth and your emotions become vessels for peace rather than battlegrounds of doubt, the whole cosmos conspires to support you. Because you are no longer sending out signals of separation, you are sending out the frequency of remembrance. And what is it that you are remembering? That you are not here to strive your way to divinity. You are here to embody it. You are here to realize that you are not a beggar at the gates of life. You are life itself, clothed in temporary form. The Tao Te Ching reminds us the way to do is to be. And in this being, all doing becomes sacred. When you speak from this stillness, even the most ordinary words carry healing. When you act from this center, even the smallest gesture moves mountains. Because the universe is not moved by force. It is moved by alignment. It is moved by your inner yes. Not a desperate yes, but the soft yes of surrender. The yes that says, I no longer resist what is, I open to what can be. The yes that opens the heart not because it understands, but because it trusts. And when you trust, life begins to move through you rather than against you. You stop pushing. You start flowing. You stop demanding. You start dancing. Because you are no longer trying to control the ocean, you are letting the tide carry you. This does not mean passivity. It means presence. It means action rooted in spirit, not in fear. It means being the channel through which divine intention expresses itself in form. So speak to the universe with your trust. Speak with your joy. Speak with your gratitude, not because everything is perfect, but because you have remembered that perfection was never the goal. Presence is. Miracles do not come because you earn them. They come because you recognize that they were always available. They are not given to the deserving. They are recognized by the aligned. And your alignment is not about what you've done, it's about what you're allowing now. Right now, not when you're more healed. Not when you've proven your worth. Not when the world applauds, but now, when you sit in your brokenness and bless it, now, when you hold your doubt like a child and choose to love anyway. Now, when you look at your life, imperfect as it is, and say, still, I choose to believe. That is the vibration that moves mountains. That is the frequency of miracles. And that is how you speak to the universe. Not with more doing, not with more effort, but with more being, with more silence, with more surrender, with more truth. You are not here to convince life to be good to you. You are here to remember that life already is. And the moment you remember, the moment you speak that truth into your very cells, the universe listens. And it says, yes, I've been waiting for you to remember. So say yes to your wholeness. Say yes to your divine identity. Say yes to the path unfolding in mystery and grace. Speak to the universe with your yes. and watch as miracles begin to flow, not from the outside in, but from the inside out. Because the greatest miracle is not what happens to you. It is what awakens in you. And that awakening begins now. There is a quiet power that lives beneath the noise of wanting. It is not loud, but it is unshakable. It does not rush, but it moves mountains. It is the still voice of knowing that rises when all questions fall away. And it speaks not in commands, not in demands, but in presence. The kind of presence that says this moment just as it is enough. When you begin to live from that place, you no longer speak to the universe as one in need. You speak as one who already holds the treasure. And this changes everything, not because the world bends to your will, but because you are no longer at war with it. When you stop pleading with life to be different, you find that the very thing you were begging for begins to reveal itself, not as a grand arrival, but as a subtle unfolding. Peace shows up in your breath. Love whispers through your hands. Joy glimmers in the ordinary. Because you are no longer waiting for permission to receive, you are remembering that you've always been worthy to hold it all. So many live like they are trying to earn a place at the table of blessings, never realizing they are the table. They are the blessing. They are the altar upon which life wishes to pour its holy oil. But the oil cannot flow where there is resistance. And resistance is not a punishment, it is simply a misalignment with truth. Truth does not demand, it invites, it opens the door again and again and waits patiently until you're ready to walk through. To speak to the universe is to open that door from the inside, to stop measuring your worth by outcomes, to stop making your value conditional on results. You are not here to be impressive, you are here to be real. Realness is the magnet that draws miracles. Because the divine cannot flow through masks. It can only inhabit what is sincere. It can only fill what is willing to be empty. And so, be empty. Empty of performance. Empty of pretending. Empty of the need to be anything but present. In that emptiness, fullness is born. The fullness of grace. The fullness of truth. The fullness of a life no longer constrained by the illusion of lack. Because there is no lack in you, there is only the memory of separation, and even that is an illusion, an old dream, a shadow cast by forgetting. But now, you remember that you do not have to earn love, it flows through you. You remember that you do not have to find peace, it awakens the moment you stop chasing. You remember that you do not have to prove your value, it was etched into your being long before the world taught you otherwise. When you speak to the universe from that remembrance, life begins to mirror back your wholeness. Not because it is now seeing you differently, but because you are finally seeing yourself clearly. The trees do not ask for worthiness before they bloom. The ocean does not seek approval before it crashes against the shore. The sun does not wait for validation before it rises. They all express their truth because it is their nature. And so must you. Your nature is love. Your nature is light. Your nature is infinite, not someday, not when you fix yourself, but now, exactly as you are. And when you begin to speak to the universe from your nature rather than your fear, your life ceases to be a project and becomes a prayer. A walking, breathing prayer that blesses all it touches, not because it tries, but because it remembers. You are not here to push life into submission. You are here to participate in its rhythm. You are not here to dominate creation. You are here to dance with it, to let its song move you, surprise you, soften you. And when you dance instead of dictate, when you allow instead of control, you speak the language of miracles. Not because you've mastered manifestation, but because you've melted back into harmony. This harmony is not something you created, it's something you uncover. Like sunlight breaking through clouds, it was always there, just waiting for space to shine. So create that space, not with effort, but with release. Release the story that says you're not enough. Release the belief that joy must be justified. Release the grip on how things should unfold. And in that release, you will hear it the soft hum of divinity rising from within. It is not outside you. It never was. It is you. And it is waiting for you to speak, not with words, but with presence, with faith. With the quiet certainty that you are already held, already guided, already aligned with something far greater than you could ever name. And when you speak to the universe this way, it listens because it recognizes itself in you. And it says, welcome home. There is a language the soul speaks, a language older than words, older than time, older than thought. It is not spoken with the lips or heard with the ears. It is breathed, it is felt, it is known. It is the language of pure intention, of vibrational truth, of alignment with the infinite. And when you learn to speak to the universe in this way, not from fear, not from lack, not from need, but from your sacred knowing, miracles cease to be rare. They become your rhythm. Not the miracles that shout, but the kind that whisper. A shift in perception, a sudden peace, a door that opens without being pushed, a heaviness that lifts without explanation. This is the language of co-creation, not with the ego's frantic demands, but with the soul's quiet certainty. When you speak to the universe this way, you do not beg, you do not chase, you do not declare yourself unworthy, hoping to be filled. You speak as the wave speaks to the ocean, confident in its belonging, certain of its origin, radiant in its oneness. There is no separation between you and the divine. There never has been. But you have been taught to forget, to shrink, to perform for love that was never meant to be earned. And so you speak to life as a beggar would to a king, instead of as a spark speaks to the flame. But the soul knows. It remembers the language of the stars. It remembers that thought creates form, that feeling sculpts destiny, that energy is your offering to the cosmos. You are not a bystander in this universe. You are a participant, a vibratory being in a vibratory field. And every word you think, every feeling you hold, every belief you nurture is a petition, a prayer, a painting of the world to come. The Tao says, the sage speaks little and trusts much. Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is within. Rumi whispered, what you seek is seeking you. These are not poetic ideas, they are spiritual instructions. And when you listen, not just with your ears, but with your essence, you begin to see the universe is not judging you. It is responding to you. You cannot deceive it with words. You cannot manipulate it with masks. It listens to your frequency. It hears what you are before it hears what you say. It receives the vibration of your being and responds with perfect precision. Not as punishment, not as reward, but as reflection. So the question is not, how do I get more? The question is, what am I being? Are you being the truth of who you are, or are you projecting an echo of who the world told you to be? When you speak to the universe in the language of truth, when you align your thoughts with gratitude, your feelings with love, your beliefs with wholeness, everything changes. Not because the world outside you shifts instantly, but because the world within you does. And the outer must reflect the inner, just as the moon reflects the light of the Sunday. Do not speak to the universe from scarcity. It does not understand lack. It only understands flow, expansion, alignment. Scarcity is not a truth. It is a trance, a forgetting, a veil over your inheritance. And the moment you awaken from it, the moment you stop saying, I need, and start saying, I am, miracles begin to stir. I am whole. I am love. I am open. These are not affirmations. They are declarations of reality spoken by the soul to the source that always answers with yes. And when you say yes to yourself, the universe says yes to you. The ego will argue. It will insist you must strive, earn, fix, impress. It will scream that you are not ready, not worthy, not enough. But the soul has no such stories. It only has truth. And the truth is, you are not separate from the creative force of life. You are an extension of it. You are not here to win love. You are here to remember. You are made of it. You are not here to force a plan. You are here to surrender to a flow so intelligent, so benevolent, so miraculous, that all you must do is become available to it. Be still, be clear, be true. Speak not from panic, but from presence. Not from fear, but from freedom. Not from what you think you lack, but from what you already are. The language of the universe is not noise, it is vibration. And the highest vibration is gratitude. Not the gratitude that comes after the blessing, but the gratitude that is the blessing. When you thank life in advance, when you give thanks for what you are already becoming, when you bless the unseen as though it were already unfolding, you create space for the miraculous to enter. This is not delusion. It is spiritual precision. It is the art of living from the inside out. You do not wait for peace, you become peace. You do not wait for joy, you embody joy. You do not wait for the answer, you become the question that trusts it is already known. Speak to the universe as if it were listening, because it is. Speak to it with your energy, not just your lips. Speak to it through your alignment, your choices, your trust. Every thought is a prayer. Every emotion is a message. Every belief is a mirror, so choose them well. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are a creator of frequency, and frequency precedes form. The world you see is not objective, it is interpretive, and your interpretation is colored by your vibration. Raise it, and you will see the same world through different eyes. This is the miracle. Not that things always change, but that you do. And in your change, all is made new. So breathe. Breathe deeply, with intention, with reverence, with presence. Let your breath be a sacred whisper to the divine, saying, I am here. I am ready. I am aligned. I remember. And the universe will whisper back, so it is. And when you begin to walk with this inner knowing, when you carry it like a flame that no wind can extinguish, you become not a seeker of miracles, but their embodiment. You do not have to search for signs, because your life becomes one. Your steps are sacred. Your presence, a silent sermon of alignment. You move through the world not as a visitor, but as a vital thread in its sacred tapestry. The universe does not need to be impressed. It only needs to be met. It yearns not for your performance, but for your presence. When you speak to it from that deep, unshakable center, when you stop asking it to save you and start allowing it to move through you, everything you touch becomes fertile with possibility. Your words carry weight not because they are loud, but because they are true. Your silence becomes holy, not because it is empty, but because it is full. This is how the soul creates, not through force, but through frequency, not through hustle, but through harmony. When the inner world becomes coherent, the outer begins to reflect its rhythm. Not immediately, not always visibly, but with divine timing and precision, it unfolds. You are not here to chase your destiny. You are here to allow it. And the allowing begins not in doing more, but in being more fully who you already are. Let go of the striving. Let go of the grip. Let go of the belief that you must earn what is already yours. Your birthright is not conditional. It is not something to be bargained for. It is built into your being. To speak to the universe is to remember this. Every intention cast from love plants a seed in the invisible. You may not see the bloom today, but the roots are taking hold. The soil of your life is being prepared. Trust the invisible process. Speak not with desperation, but with devotion. With the kind of reverence that knows that the divine is not out there, keeping score, it is within you, keeping rhythm. This rhythm is always playing. The music of creation has never stopped. But you must quiet the noise to hear it. You must stop dancing to someone else's drumbeat long enough to feel your own pulse. The one that matches the tides, the winds, the migration of stars. When you find that pulse, you find your power, not the power to control, but the power to co-create. And the language of co-creation is not English or Spanish or any spoken tongue. It is alignment. Alignment between what you say and what you feel, what you dream and what you believe. When your inner life becomes congruent, the universe responds with clarity. Confusion fades not because all answers appear at once, but because the need for answers dissolves in the presence of trust. There is nothing more magnetic than a being who trusts the unfolding, who stands in the storm with open arms, who sings in the silence, who thanks the sky before the rain. This is not fantasy. This is spiritual mastery, the kind that does not shout but whispers, not in grand declarations, but in the quiet constancy of presence. Speak to the universe with your wholeness, not your wounds. Let your vision be untainted by your past. Let your heart be unhindered by your history. Every time you declare yourself broken, the universe waits patiently, knowing you are only naming your illusions. But every time you declare yourself whole, even if your voice trembles, the energy around you rearranges to affirm it. So speak now, not with the voice you were taught, but with the voice that has always been waiting to be remembered. The voice that does not ask for permission. The voice that does not need a stage. The voice that comes from the eternal place within you where divinity meets humanity and says, I am still here. Speak from there, and miracles will not need to arrive, they will emerge. Not as flashes of magic, but as the natural consequence of truth, spoken into an honest life. This is the miracle of you. And it begins the moment you stop trying to sound divine and simply remember that you already are. And when you let go of the performance, when you strip away the ornate language and speak from the unvarnished center of your being, something sacred rises. It is not the sound of perfection, it is the sound of authenticity. And in that vibration, the universe leans in, because what it longs to hear is not your eloquence, but your essence, not your declarations of grandeur, but your willingness to be real. Realness is the holiest language. When you speak of your longings without shame, of your fears without apology, of your hopes without armor, you are speaking to life as life itself. And life responds, not out of pity or reward, but out of resonance. For the sacred law of this universe is not judgment, it is reflection. What you extend is what you invite. What you believe is what you breathe. What you are willing to become is already seeking you in return. Do not be afraid of your tenderness. It is not weakness, it is your native tongue. When you speak through it, when you let your prayers sound like sighs and your joy sound like silence, you are not retreating from power, you are reclaiming the truest form of it. The ego has many voices, but they all speak in noise. They shout with urgency. They grasp with fear. They argue with reality. But the soul whispers. The soul does not debate. It declares. Not with arrogance, but with clarity. Not with drama, but with depth. And when you align with that soul voice, when you let it be louder than the noise of doubt and the clamor of control, you begin to notice that life itself is listening. The winds become more than wind, they become messengers. The rain does not just fall, it baptizes. A stranger's glance is no longer coincidence, it is a confirmation. Because everything in creation is responding to the energy you carry. When you walk in alignment, doors open not because you push them, but because your presence is the key. When you rest in your truth, the next step appears not because you mapped it, but because truth is light, and light reveals the path without needing to force it. This is not passivity, this is profound participation. You are participating in the sacred rhythm of existence, not by forcing life to obey your will, but by letting your will be shaped by the deeper intelligence that knows what your mind cannot. And that intelligence is not separate from you. It breathes your lungs while you sleep, it beats your heart without your permission, it turns seeds into forests, pain into wisdom, endings into beginnings. When you speak to the universe from that place, from that unshakable trust, that what is meant for you cannot miss you, you stop pleading and start communing. You begin to move through the world, not as someone trying to survive, but as someone remembering how to thrive. You no longer measure your progress by outcomes, but by how deeply you are aligned with the present moment. You stop needing guarantees because you live in guidance. You stop needing proof because you become presence. And in that presence, miracles do not feel foreign. They feel familiar, because the most miraculous thing is not what appears outside you, but what awakens within you. It is the moment you look at your life and no longer ask, why hasn't it happened yet? And instead whisper, thank you for what is already becoming. That moment, that shift, is the opening, the crack in the wall, the end of resistance, the beginning of remembrance. And what you remember is not a fact, it is a frequency. The frequency of your divine nature, the rhythm of your real voice, the gentle certainty that you do not walk alone because you are never apart from that which walks with you. Speak from this, live from this, breathe from this, and everything will begin to reflect it. And as you come to the final bend in this inner pilgrimage, not a conclusion, but a sacred return, you begin to feel what was never absent, a quiet blooming in the soul, a warmth not summoned by thought but by recognition. You are not the one who has been chasing the light, you are the light that has finally stopped running from itself. And in this stillness, you no longer need the world to applaud. You no longer need the stars to align before you feel celestial. Because the universe has already bowed to you in 1,000 silent ways, in the breath that never left you, in the ache that shaped you, in the whisper that kept calling you home even when you couldn't hear it. You begin to understand that the words you speak to life are not nearly as powerful as the energy you embody. That you could say nothing at all and still call forth mountains to move, not because you demanded them to, but because you became the kind of presence that nature obeys. To speak to the universe in this way is not to perform rituals or recite perfect prayers. It is to live your truth so purely that your very being becomes the prayer. A living, breathing prayer of trust, of surrender, of unshakable alignment. You no longer cry out for love, you become its echo. You no longer search for signs, you are the sign. You no longer ask for miracles, you walk in the understanding that your existence is already one. And now, as you stand here open and soft and illuminated from within, you do not feel powerful in the way the world defines power. You feel powerful in the way a river feels quiet, steady, unstoppable. You know that to truly speak to the universe, you need not raise your voice, you need only raise your vibration. You need not strive, you need only surrender. You need not prove, you need only remember. And as this remembrance settles into your bones, as it floods the hollows of your doubt with the light of knowing, you will begin to feel life flowing through you, not toward you. You are no longer separate. You are no longer waiting. You are no longer wishing. You are here, aligned, awake, enough. And in this sacred state, you ask for nothing, because everything that is meant for you is already moving toward you in perfect harmony. You do not push the river. You become the river. You do not chase the Sunday. You realize you are the light. So speak no longer to the universe from a place of wanting. Speak from your being. Speak as creation itself, and let life rise up to meet the clarity of your present. Because when you speak to the universe this way, softly, truthfully, reverently, miracles do not just flow to you. They flow from you, forever and always.